Hey, 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 everybody. Welcome to Making Connections. This is your girl, Allie. We're here every Saturday at 12 noon and every Monday at 2 p.m. And I'm excited about the show today. This is our first time for Miss Jerry. How are you today?
I am awesome.
You look so pretty. I like those colors.
Thank you. I had my makeup artist come in.
Come on, girl. That's what's up. I should have been at your house. Well, before we get started, again, thank you for being with us today. You guys, this is Miss Jerry from Jerry Speak, and we're going to be talking about pivoting with purpose. And we're going to get started in just a second. I just wanted to say happy International Women's Day to everybody. And I was like, oh, I'm so glad she's on today because, you know, I celebrate everything that you're doing. You're a woman who's doing great things, a brown skinned woman. So you got a lot of areas covered.
Thank you.
So before we get started, just tell our family a little bit about yourself since it's their first time meeting you.
I knew you was gonna do that. I'm just being natural. I'm like, don't tell me to tell people about myself. I hate that. But anyway, I'm gonna roll with it. I'm gonna roll with it. Basically, I like to tell people I'm the little black girl that came from a one stoplight town in Lawrenceville, Virginia. And I did not have the slightest idea that I would be where I am today.
Mhm.
Um, I, Author, motivational speaker, a writer. I write for magazines. I don't have a magazine column right now, but I used to have a newspaper column. But of course, a lot of things have shut down because of, the pandemic. So people are not picking up the newspapers like they used to. So I don't do that anymore. But I blog and I have events that I do. Facebook Live, Instagram Live, YouTube. I'm always out there doing something. So I'm just really enjoying life. A mother, grandmother, um, enjoying life.
Hey, I like that part right there, enjoying life. Because
Yes.
let me tell you, how many people can really say that? There's a lot of people that are struggling, a lot of people who want to get there, but they don't know the steps. So that part right there is a big, big win.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit. I know, like you said, you're on Facebook Live, Instagram, and all those things. I know you come on Facebook Live, and I think you probably share it to the multiple platforms, and you do Jerry Speak. Where did that come from? When did that originate?
Well, actually, I've been doing Jerry Speak for years. As a breast cancer survivor, I started sharing my story, and that's how
Mhm.
I started speaking. And once I started that, people. Well, actually, I was a magazine. I was on the cover of a magazine, and when the article hit the papers back in the country where I came from in Virginia, when the article hit the paper, people started calling me and saying, "I read your story. Will you come share with this group of ladies? Will you come share with this group of women? Will you come to the office and share with our staff? Will you go this place? Will you go that place?" And I realized it was something that I enjoyed doing, telling my story. And then I always tell people after a few years, the phone stopped ringing. And I was like, oh man, I love telling my story. And I love adding to it every year, letting people know
Mhm.
how I was doing now that I was a breast cancer survivor. How am I doing in year 2, year 3, year 4, and so on. And when the phone stopped ringing, I was like, I need to create a way for these people to continue to follow me. That was before Facebook. And people who want to keep up with what's happening with Jerry. So I came up with Jerry Speak, and I created my own conference. So that's how Jerry Speak started. But as far as here in Charleston, South Carolina, and what I'm doing every month now since the pandemic, it's like I created out the box because I kept telling myself, I'm Jerry Speak. I'm not speaking to anybody. I'm not going to
Mhm.
events. I'm not creating events. I'm not vending. Nobody's calling me to speak. So what am I going to do? I have to speak. And that's how I came up with Out the Box after trying a few other things. And I came
Mhm.
once a month speech because I wanted to keep talking. And I had no idea that God would actually give me something every month to talk about. I'm in my seventh month now. I can't believe it.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Definitely. We got to tell people when that comes on and how they can follow you because it's very good. I enjoy when I can catch on.
I know, and it also goes in replay. I always do it on my Jerry Speak business
True.
page. That way, I have it on my wall. I can share it anywhere I want to. I share it on LinkedIn. I share it on YouTube. I just keep access to it. Yeah, and it's the second Saturday of every month at 2:30.
Awesome. I love it. So tell us a little bit about your cancer journey. How long have you been a survivor?
It's been 35 years. I was diagnosed at age 30, and I'm now 66 years old. And I was diagnosed, believe it or not, I was diagnosed in September, but I had my surgery in October, which is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So a lot of
Mm,
times I do be speaking around that time of the year also. Um, I tell people, even though I don't feel like I honestly did not have a struggle, and a lot of time I used to think that because I was not tested, that my testimony didn't matter. But when you see
mm,
somebody who's going through breast cancer now, and they're at the first year, the fifth year, the sixth year, whatever, it gives them hope to see somebody who has lived and thrived for 35 years and it never came back. I didn't lose my hair. I don't know what kind of chemo they used back then, but whatever it was good because my hair got longer. And so
wow.
I'm a testimony and I'm evidence of survival. So I like to share my story now because of that.
That is amazing.
And no history in my family at all. I was the only person and the first person in the family. And my daughters have, I have two girls and they have skipped it all together. Nothing has happened to them.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that. And I think a lot of people, I hear a little bit feedback. Do you hear that?
I don't.
Don't? Okay. So I know a lot of people, even in life, whatever they're going through, sometimes they don't like to tell their story because they feel like, well, my story's not to that degree. Um, maybe I was pushed around, but I wasn't beaten. I wasn't sent to the hospital. I didn't get broken bones, but nevertheless, you were abused. So, nevertheless, you had that. Um, what's the word I'm looking for? You were pronounced with cancer. You went through the steps. You had to go through it, even though you said you didn't struggle that much in it. But you're, like you said, you're a survivor, and that's the really the key thing that people want to hear.
Yeah, and I see little things that's coming up that's saying my mic has been unmuted and yours is too loud, getting feedback. I think my mic might be too loud. You think that might be what's going on?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Because I have my volume up to the top. I don't know if I need it that loud.
I can hear you. It doesn't sound too loud. Let me turn mine down.
It's coming from the studio. It's a note in the corner that says speakers are way too loud, getting feedback.
Okay.
That might be it. Okay. Yeah, but like you say, even when it comes to domestic violence or abuse, it's like people don't realize that verbal abuse can hurt you too. I mean, that's not the subject that we're on right now, but it's like I mean, I remember being called stupid and and dumb. You think you all that. Those things hurt you and break you down too. You know.
Hmm. Absolutely. So that maybe take us into where we are as in pivoting with purpose. So how can people, what does that even mean? Somebody's like, what's the title about? Pivoting with purpose. What does that mean?
Um, I think the reason I called it pivoting with purpose because I'm going to take you back to when the pandemic first hit, and I have to do it that way so you can understand the purpose of it all. When the pandemic first hit, it actually hit on the week of my annual conference, and this was my 6th year here in Charleston. So the week that I was scheduled to have my conference, which was the third Saturday in March every year, that's when I have it. That's the week that they shut the whole city down and said you could only have 10 people in the room.
Oh,
So I
wow.
had to cancel my conference. That was devastating to me. It was going to be the best one I ever had. I had already signed up and paid for a brand new space that would hold up to 120 people instead of the 75 that I used to have. So it was like, oh my God, this is the year. So, and I had my speech all prepared and all that stuff. Needless to say, when that happened, I went into a whirlwind of like, oh my God, and I shut down.
Mm.
3 weeks or 4 weeks into the pandemic, I came back to life and I was like, I got to do something. So I started doing, and also I didn't want my speech to go to waste. Oh, wait a minute. Let me back up. I ain't got to that yet. So I started doing Facebook Live every single day. I was doing Facebook Live maybe twice a week, but I wasn't really comfortable with it. I didn't have it down to a T. I started doing Facebook Live every day. And the reason I did it is for this purpose. I said, with everything that people are going through right now, they need something positive.
Mhm.
So I called it, I forgot what I called it, Purpose Positivity Moment. And I did it every day. I came up with a speech every day. It was short and sweet, but it was something that I dressed up for. I went on Facebook Live every single day and I did Purpose Positivity with Jerry. And I did that for 2 whole months. And then I got tired. I was like, oh my God, I cannot come up with something positive every day. I am getting burnt out. That's exactly what I did. I hit burnout.
Right.
And so I stopped doing it. I went into prayer, literally went into my prayer closet and spent some time in there. And it was like a couple of weeks later that I was in my prayer closet and God was like, well, Jerry, you got that speech that you never did because, COVID hit. So it's not really, like, what's the word you want to call it? It's not timed. It's not time sensitive. You could take a couple of lines out and you could still do that speech. Do it live on Facebook. Make it an event. I was like, really? Ain't nobody gonna tune in to watch no speech. I ain't got no audience or nothing. I can't stand up and do it. It's gonna look weird. I ain't got no audience. Am I gonna sit at my desk? So I went through all of this stuff about how I was gonna do it.
Right.
And so I decided to do that. And then I got good feedback and everything. I was like, oh, I love this. I love this. I'm gonna do it every 2 weeks. But I couldn't come up with something in 2 weeks. I was like, no, that's too much. And God was like, okay, since everything you do right now is going to be out the box, why don't you do it once a month? I can give you something once a month if you do it once a month and you plan on it. I was like, okay, so we'll start a theme of out the box and we'll put a new title on a new speech in there every month. And I needed to pick it on a time and a day that people would remember. So I was like, it was always the third Saturday when I did my conference. Why don't I do the second Saturday this time and do it at the same time every day, every second Saturday? And that's how I came up with Out the Box, because I wanted to put something positive out there. And what I did is I take everything that's happening in my life and I provide some type of metaphor to build it around.
Yeah.
I put a positive spin on anything negative that happens in my life. Like I talked about the cable going out. Not the cable, the internet going out. I talked about that. And the guy that came to fix it and how he said you need a maintenance plan. So I created a whole subject around having a maintenance plan. And I talked about how God is the ultimate maintenance plan. And when you got him, it don't cost you nothing to get stuff fixed. That's the kind of stuff that be going through my brain when I'm in my meditation room. And I do that every month.
Oh, gosh. I like the way that came together.
And people see me once a month, but it's like, every day I'm having those thoughts and I'm like, I got to write it down. I got to write it down. So I keep stuff written down all over the place, waiting for the right moment to present it.
So let's go back to the fact that you were doing it every day and you got a little burnout. Now, again, this happens to people in life. They have this vision. They want to do something. They get started. Then they get overwhelmed. They get burnt out and they stop. What I like about all that you said is that you just found a different way.
Exactly.
You prayed about it and God gave you an answer. So you're still coming to us. You're still bringing us a powerful message, but you're not as burnt out. Let's speak to that. Because people, a lot of times, they just stop.
Yeah, and I mean, what you have to realize, and that's all around the pivoting. It's like everybody's doing life different. So what you need to do is meet people where they are. People are at home, so I'm like, okay, meet them at home. And the best way to do that is to go live. And when I first started, I only went live on Facebook. Now I think last month was my first time going live on Facebook and Instagram at the same time, because I wasn't comfortable trying to, talk to both set of people. And I was like, Jerry, come on now, this is free time. Yeah. I've always wanted to do my own reality show. I've always wanted to to be my own talk show. I love Oprah. I idolized her when she had her show. I watched every single one of her 25, however many years she was on the air. I watched every episode, and I always wanted to do a talk show. So it's like, this is your talk show. And when I created, God gave me the vision for my little section that you see me sitting in with all the little stuff behind me. When He gave me that vision, I had my office in my bedroom. And when He made that transition and said, you're going to do this on a regular basis. So look, let's make it look right. Let's make it look right. I need you to go into a corner where it's going to be like a money-making corner, because there's money behind what I'm doing. It just ain't showing up the way I want it to yet, but it's coming. So I took my office out of my bedroom. I brought it in the living room and made my living room tight. Ain't nobody here with me. Ain't nobody coming to visit me. Ain't nobody in this house with me. So it's not too tight for me. It works perfectly. And when He gave me that vision, I started calling it the Jerry Speaks Studio, because I feel like I'm on TV when I go live.
Yes.
Yeah. And today I didn't do all of that, because I'm like, I don't want people focusing on the words behind me. I want them listening to what I have to say. So I moved over here to my sofa. So it's like I go live wherever. I go in the kitchen. I got the Friday cooking in the kitchen with Jerry. That came up because of a friend.
Cool. I hadn't seen that one.
Oh yeah, every Friday morning around noon, I go in the kitchen with Jerry and I cook up whatever I feel like cooking up.
Okay. I love it. So you pivoted.
It's still talking. I'm still speaking. And I always have a message. God always downloads something in the morning while I'm in meditation, or He'll download something while I'm talking to the people who are watching, while I'm cooking. And I just go in there and just be me. I don't get dressed up. I don't have no earrings or nothing on. I do have a t-shirt that I have on. I wear the same t-shirt every day because I made a t-shirt. If you see in any of my live videos, you know that I always say, yes, yes, yes. I didn't say it on this one because it was a different setup. But I got t-shirts that say, yes, yes, yes. That's my opening statement every time I have a video, and I did not know that until my coach told me that.
Mm-hmm. And see, that's the thing about it, because now you're just being natural. You're just being Jerry. And so the things that are Jerry are showing up. The things that are Jerry is what's drawing people.
Right. And that was one of the reasons that I stopped doing the live every day, because I was forcing myself to come up with content, and I was planning ahead of time what the content was going to be. I was like, no, that's not me. I can't do it like everybody else is doing it. I have to do it the Jerry way. I have to be spontaneous. I have to say it when I want to say it. And when it comes to me and God gives it to me, and I can write a little note and then go back later and pull it together. I can't do it every day. And that's how I started thinking out the box, because He dropped the title 2 weeks before the event. And then I got a week and a half, maybe sometimes I don't get all the words and all the message together until the week of. Like I haven't even started writing yet for this Saturday, but I got little notes over there. And when I shut everything down and decide that it's time to write, it just comes right onto me and it flows. It just flows, and I love it. This is the best part of my life. Creating a speech and then giving it.
So I know some people are listening and they're like, I want to do that. I want to talk. How do you even put a speech together? I know we're talking about, you make your notes, but then once you get your notes and you shut everything down, how do you know what part to come first? What's next? How do you do that? Or is that the Lord as well?
Say it again. Or is that what?
I said, or is that the Lord as well telling you to?
Oh, no. It's still Him all the way through. But once I get the title, like when He gave me the title, I'm going to use last week's title because I know how I wrote that. I don't know how I'm writing this one yet. This week is the power. Yes. Last week when He gave me the title, What If? What if? And I knew what He was talking about. He was talking about, what if you got everything that you asked for? So I knew that I was going to talk about what if this happened, what if that happened, or what if that happened. But I didn't know what personal stories I was going to throw in there. So I used my vision board. He said, bring your vision board in here with you and just kind of share that. Is like, what if you got everything on this board? And so that's where I started from. I started from the vision board. And once I said, what if about the vision board, and I showed that, then I moved everything to the side. But I had already written the speech because I came up with 3 things about what if. What if we address the elephant in the room? Even though I talked about what if you get everything you asked for, I wanted to talk about other stuff.
Right.
Just by using what if. So I said, what if we address the elephant in the room? What if you did the thing that scared the SHI out of you? And I forgot what the other one was. It was 3 what ifs. And I tried to pick maybe 3, no more than 4 things to talk about. And then the one that I did, who let the dogs out, I thought God was crazy when he told me that one. Right around probably the first of the year, I was like, who let the dogs out? What is that? Who's going to want to listen to that? And how am I right about that? And sure enough, he said, here are the 3 dogs that I want you to talk about. I went on the internet and looked up the 3 dogs and what their characteristics were. I already knew I wanted to do a poodle, something doodle. I don't forget what it's called. Anyway, I did 3 dogs. I knew the Rottweiler was one. I did 3 dogs. And I looked up the definition of the 3 dogs, and I read that to the audience so they would know how I got these ideas. And then I talked about the Rottweiler and talked about how about my girlfriend who had a Rottweiler, and when she moved into her new place, they wouldn't let the dog in. They said he couldn't come in. And that's not because it was anything wrong with him. He was in a family of dogs, which is like a pit bull. So sometimes because of who you're associated with and the name that you fall under, you won't be able to go into places. They won't let you in. So, I just do little stuff like that. It's like,
I saw that one. That was good. I think you did a Chihuahua, didn't you?
I did a Rottweiler. I did a poodle, something poodle doodle. I can't remember what it is. The little lassie dog. I don't forget what he's called.
Oh, yeah. Collie?
Yeah, the little cuddly, the little soft. Everybody like you. What if everybody don't like you? Okay. Yeah.
And I think all that ties together. Like, okay, what if? Yeah. Because I think people don't ask themselves that question. Okay, what if? We always think of the failing part. We always think of if we don't have followers. But what if you do have followers?
Yeah, and that was very hard for me. That's how I came up with it. I was like, I look at this vision board every day when I come in here and do my meditation. And I was like, oh my God, what if God gave me everything on that board? Would I be ready? And I had to rethink and say, I need to get my act together because he could just drop it in my lap anytime. Are you ready for all that stuff that you see on that vision board and that you're asking God to give you?
Right.
He gave it to you. What would you do with it? Who would you help? How would you serve your community? Who would you give to? And how are you going to handle all those people who come at you that ain't said nothing to you all these years, but now know you?
Right.
And the ones that hating on you because you didn't give them nothing.
And I mean, they're all, the thing about it is either way, they're going to be there.
They're going to be there.
So what if you just go ahead and do what God has called you to do?
Right.
Because when you do what he's telling you to do, you're going to get some type of reward. May not come the way you want it, but you're going to be rewarded. Exactly. It could be even from somebody that you don't even know, because sometimes we be like, well, what if our best friend don't go along with us? Well, that's okay too.
Yeah.
But be prepared for that. Be prepared, and then the somebody you don't even know is going to come and tell you what a blessing you were, how inspirational you were, and you're going to be like, oh, this is why I'm doing this.
Yeah, because a couple of times I've had people say they enjoyed Out the Box, and they were watching me. They went back and watched the video. They say I didn't comment. I didn't say anything, but I want you to know that we're watching you, and I love what you're doing. I'm like, I needed that today, because sometimes I wonder, is it worth it? I mean, if I see 5 people on the video, it's like, and then I go back and I see only 25. When I've had 250 or 400 views. Now all of a sudden it's down to 25. I'm like, I don't know if I should keep doing this, but I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna keep doing it. I mean, it has just taken off. And then don't even talk about the sponsorship. My girlfriend, that's what I like about good friends too. Speaking of women empowering women today, is like my girlfriend, when I first started it, she was like, I don't think you really believe everything that you say you believe. I don't think you want everything from God that you say you asking for him for, because you are not serious about Out the Box as serious as you were about the Jerry Speak Conference. She kicked me in the butt, and I got serious. I was like, well, what am I supposed to do? That's what I'm thinking to myself. And God was like, okay, you had sponsors when you had Jerry Speak Conference. Why don't you consider getting sponsors now? I'm like, how am I a sponsor for a video? He said, I'm going to show you how. And sure enough, I do ads. I create Canva documents. I create flyers that promote their business, and I run it for 2 weeks every single day, back to back. I run the ads, and they pay me.
Y'all hear that? Do y'all hear that? There's a way. And that's what I keep telling people with even with the pandemic. I know people, and I mean I know it was a bad thing. It is still, out there, it's still affecting us. But if you have to be at home with your kids, make it productive. You know, you are still the parent at that house. Set some rules, set some guidelines, set some certain hours for this, that, and the other. But don't just sit and do nothing.
Right. And everybody, we don't want everybody to give up. I mean, there are situations where people, they didn't have no choice but to give up or give in, or however you want to put it. But if you have something that you're capable of doing, and if you have a message or you're able to help somebody, then do that. Don't let everybody give up. And I used to joke, not joke, but anyway, for many of my lives, I would say, yay, people still buying and people still selling. I'm doing both. I did. I would come on, I'd be like, look. And I post stuff. Look at my Cash App. Look at what I bought. Every time my package would come in the house, I'd open it up live. Look, I told y'all, people still buying and people still selling. I'm doing both.
That's it.
Yeah. Don't give up.
But you had to pivot. You had to do something different. Even like with the newspapers, people maybe not buying as much. Okay, that was something different. But now what are you doing? You're still writing because you're still doing ads for people. You had to pivot.
Yeah, I'm still writing. I'm still doing everything. Yes, indeed.
Ooh, I want y'all to hear that. She just pivoted. Pivoted means sometimes, it don't mean that the purpose is different, but it means maybe the path has to be different.
The path, exactly.
Just even if it's for a short season.
Right.
But
you don't change the goal, you just change the way you get there. And actually, to be honest, I don't like the word popular, but it's like I have a larger viewership because of Facebook Live and Instagram Live than I had at my conference. I mean, 75 people once a year. I mean, there were people who followed me on Facebook, but to have 250, 400 people viewing a video, that's big.
Right. Yeah, and it's more consistent.
With.
Exactly. Because now they can connect with you more often. That once a year thing, and I've been to conferences and I've looked forward to some of them. Some of them I don't, I just have to go. But some of them I really look forward to. But now it's like if you have somebody who influences you and you can follow them and be connected to them throughout the year, no matter what you're going through, whatever situation you're in, you can turn that video on, even if it's a video from last year, but still get what you need.
You'll get what you need.
It's all about.
Yeah, I had a girlfriend to tell me that I was a social media influencer. People love what I do. They love what I say. They buy products because I recommend people. I was like, what? She was like, oh, girl, I buy anything that you selling. If Jerry tried it, then I want it. I was like, what? How can we sell that?
Right. But see, we know you tried it though. We know your character. We know you don't just jump on board with anybody or anything. It's not you're trying to manipulate or deceive people.
Right.
You're trying to help people. And because that desire is there and because that energy is there, because I'm gonna tell you, some days I'll be at the house and I'll be like, and I could have just finished the show and I'll be like, I'm so tired. But then I click on 2:30 and I'll be like, look at her. She is all over the place. She happy and she clapping and she smiling. I'll be like, let me get up and do something.
I got a girlfriend just like that I follow. She's out of Dallas, Texas, but right now she's living in Pennsylvania, and her parents are in Dallas. And anytime I see Lakeisha Michelle coming on, I'll be like, yes, let me see what she's talking about. I don't care if she's doing that, but walking her dog outside. I want to hear what she got to say because she always have a good message.
Right. And that's what it is. People, I mean, yeah, we got to create a message. We got to create content sometimes, but people just want to know that it's real. People want to know that your content is because you care about them. Your content is because you want to take them, help them elevate from one level to another. So when people know that you care and that you sincere, oh yeah, we want to know what you're talking about. So do you have anything new coming up anytime soon?
Well, I know you put a little buzz out there, but I have to disappoint you. I cannot tell you exactly what's coming up
Okay.
because things are not moving as fast as I had hoped to. But April, I will be making an official announcement about the next event that I have coming. What I will say is it's going to move people over to my more sensual side.
Okay. Okay. That's what's up. Hey, we need it all, right? Oh, well, that's cool. I understand that we're not gonna spoil nothing. We just gonna wait in anticipation, and we're gonna keep logging in because we don't want to miss the announcement. I love it. So, what do you, and I mean, I know we've kind of talked about it a little bit, the speaking and just talking about everyday life and just being in front of the people. But what impact does that have on you after you've done it? You know what I mean? Because there were times when you weren't doing it. How did you feel? But then when you started back, what was the difference?
When I wasn't doing it, like when I first moved to Charleston, South Carolina, it's like nobody had any idea who Jerry Speak is. So I was here for 3 years before I even introduced myself as Jerry Speak and tried to do anything. But I felt so empty. I felt so lost. And I was like, when I first came, I was like, okay, well, maybe Jerry Speak just don't need to be no more. Maybe that's something that I fantasized about. Maybe that's something that's in my mind only. But it's like, how do you speak for 30 years and it not be real? It's like, and I tell my friends, I would be like, if it was up to me, I wouldn't do it anymore. They were like, what do you mean if it was up to you? I said, they was like, you don't like doing it? I said, no, I love doing it. But if it was up to me, I wouldn't be doing it. I'd be out, like on Friday night, I'd be somewhere hanging out with my friends. Not now, but back then, it's like on Friday night, I'd be hanging out with my friends. I wouldn't be worried about writing a speech. I wouldn't be worried about trying to get vendors and sponsors. I said, I would be living that other life. I said, but I don't have no choice. It's on me. I have to
Mm.
speak, and I don't know what it is. It's just on me, and it just keeps coming. It just keeps coming.
See,
And then when I go back to it, it's like, yes, I did it. Like I was nervous today. It's like I went through my little setup before the lady got here for the makeup because I was like, okay, everything got to be in place in case she's running late. I don't play. I'm on time for everything. That's one of my.
uh-huh.
So I my little setup and everything. But last night I was trying to decide. I'm like, oh, okay, so if I decide to do it over here, what do I have to move? So I go through that whole scenario.
Right, right.
Left a few minutes ago at 1:30. I was like, oh, it's fine. All I gotta do is go take a seat. But
And
it just comes so natural for me once I get into it.
right, right. And again, that you said when you weren't doing it, you felt empty.
I did.
So, sometimes people are like, well, what is my purpose? She's talking about pivot with purpose, but what if I still don't know what my purpose is? It's that thing, like I think you just said, that keeps coming to you.
It keeps coming back.
You
And
keep
that's how
saying,
I tell people. They ask me, how do I know it's the right thing to do? Because if it comes to me and it goes away, and then it comes again and it goes away, then I'm cool with it. I let it go. But if it just will not leave me, then something is there. I gotta tap into it. Even if I try it and it doesn't work out, it's like I still have to try it.
right, right. Because I mean, it's that thing that you like. I said I was gonna write that, the table of contents for the book.
Uh-huh.
No, it's not the season. It's not time. Oh, this would be good on the table of contents.
Uh-huh. It comes right back to you. Yeah.
Well, come on, just write it down. Because God is not gonna just I mean, he'll allow you to sit if that's what you keep choosing to do.
He
But
will.
what if you get in that flow? What if you just start writing? I've done stuff and I'll be like, when I finally start doing it, it'll be like a couple hours later, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have this finished product. Oh my gosh, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be.
Oh yeah. And
You
when
ever
I
had
used to
those
write for
moments?
the newspaper, the interesting thing is when I used to write for the newspaper, I didn't have to prepare anything. I I only had the title because I keep a little. I used to keep. Well, I still have it. I keep a little envelope of little statements that I hear, I read, or whatever. and I would put it in a little envelope. I'd be like, oh, that'd be a good little message. And then when I got ready to write my article, I knew the date that I had to have it in. I sit down at my computer, I go through that little envelope, and I look at all them little pieces of paper, which is crazy for some people the way I do it. I look at all them little pieces of paper, and if a couple of them jump out, I pull those two out and put the envelope back. And then a few minutes later, I said, okay, let me see which one grabs me. And one would grab me, and the only thing I had was the title. And I would sit there at my computer, and it would just come. God would just give it to me. I just be. And I know when I've said enough. Every month I did that for probably the last 15 years. Every month.
That's amazing.
So that's why when it was time for out the box, I was like, God be dropping stuff. I ain't got to worry about it. I get a little nervous, though. I do get a little nervous. I'm like, when you gonna tell me something? When you going to give me something? You told me to do it. Come on. I be talking to him like I'm talking to somebody sitting in his chair.
Trust me, I know. I be like, okay, now Jesus.
Yeah.
Like, just say like with the show, sometimes I'll have a guest or something that they just don't communicate that well beforehand, and I'll be like, oh, no, these people not talking. Are they gonna talk on the show? What's gonna happen if they don't show up? And you'd be like, oh, but he always works it out.
Yes, he does. Every time. Yeah.
But we still got to do some work, right?
What do you mean by that?
We still got to do some work. We still got to be prepared. Like if my guests don't show up, I can have something, on the back end.
I got notes over there that I need to pull my speech together.
See?
Yeah.
So see, sometimes you're storing stuff away, even when you don't even think about it, even when you don't know what's coming down the pike, even when you don't know that God has an assigned time for that. It's like he gives you these little nuggets. You write stuff down, you hear things, and he'll bring it back to you at the appointed time.
He will. And then also, I don't like to do too far in advance because a lot of times stuff will happen at the last minute. I'll be like, oh, that'll be good. Like last week. I don't know how in the world I got on that subject. I talked about The Bachelor, remember?
Uh-huh.
What if I was watching The Bachelor and all of a sudden it's like, I'm like, Lord, I already finished the speech. What are you talking about? How you going to put that in there? Because it was Valentine's Day. And I had made up my mind. See, I have my own mind. And then God be like, no, let me show you how you're doing it. I had made up my mind. I wasn't going to talk about love. I wasn't going to talk about relationships. And I definitely wasn't going to talk about Valentine's Day. I'm not a holiday person. I don't like any of my speeches to be holiday related. And that's why when I went when I did Out the Box Live, I was like, I already said I wasn't going to do this. And God was like, oh, yes, you are. And that's how The Bachelor got thrown in there. I'm like, the fantasy suite, how we get here? I'm like, what are you talking about, God? This is so funny.
Because, when you are his vessel, he knows the people that are going to be before you.
Yeah.
So he knows what they need to hear. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, somebody need to hear that. I mean, and even though it was about The Bachelor, a lot of times in life we think we're gonna bump things up. We're gonna make our chances better by doing something that's out of order. Or you think the fantasy suite gonna get you closer to getting the ring? Not necessarily. Remember the one they sent home that slept with him? That's another whole story. It's like, look at it.
Exactly, but it's the truth. Don't walk in your purpose. Be who you are. Don't try to manipulate or make things happen. Trust me.
The process is there.
You're gonna reap whatever you sow. You know what I'm saying? So, But I love this conversation. I just think that people are so afraid. People are, because they don't know what's happening next. They've seen people be entrepreneurs and they didn't make it. But you have to put some time in. Everything doesn't happen overnight. You definitely have to, because you don't even have to half the time know what you're getting into. But if God has called you into it, he's going to develop you. He's going to connect you to the right people so that you become better at whatever it is you're doing. I mean, it could be baking a cake. The first cake I made, it wasn't, it was, we call it a cake, but I won't say it was the best cake I've ever tasted. But over time, as you start continuing to bake that cake and you start learning what flavors go together and start trying different things, look at you. Now you're a baker.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Mm-mm-mm. I love it. So, Miss Jerry, stay with us. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we're going to have, as I said at the beginning of the show, we're celebrating International Women's Day. So, every woman that's out there, I don't care if you're still trying to figure out what your purpose is, if you're walking in your purpose, we appreciate who you are. Know that you are worthy and that you are valuable. And what you bring to the table is important. So we're going to take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back.
Okay.
March is Women's History Month. It's a time we set aside to honor women's contributions in science, business, sports, social movements, and so many other fields. For centuries in America, women's contributions in these fields were often overlooked. As a result, they were omitted from history. That's why we celebrate Women's History Month and the opportunity it gives us all to get a more complete picture of our American history. It's important that we use times like this to teach new generations about those women we all know, like Rosa Parks, whose refusal to surrender her seat to a white passenger on a bus helped launch the effort to end racial segregation in America. Like Susan B. Anthony, an abolitionist who became one of the leading figures in the movement to gain the right to vote for women. And like Clare Boothe Luce, the first American woman appointed to a major ambassador post. This month also gives us an opportunity to learn about those women whose names we don't know as well. Like Alice Ball, an African-American chemist who in the early 20th century developed the first successful treatment for leprosy, a debilitating disease that once left its victims ostracized from society. And like journalist Nellie Bly, who posed as a mental patient in 1887 to go undercover in a women's mental asylum in New York City to expose the terrible conditions patients were subjected to. Her report led to lasting institutional reforms in mental health care. And like chemist Stephanie Kwolek, who in 1965 created a lightweight and durable new fiber that later became Kevlar, which is used to create bulletproof vests and helmets that protect the lives of our law enforcement and military. Women have invented new medicines, fought as heroes on our battlefields, and enforced the laws in our communities. They led in the effort to end slavery. They have created businesses and built hospitals, and they fought to secure their own right to vote. Women have played pivotal roles in building this country. The United States wouldn't be the economic superpower and the world's beacon of liberty without their contributions. On the home front, on the war front, and in the workplace, women have served and shaped our great nation. That's why Women's History Month is such an important opportunity for us to pause and honor their profound contributions. As we recognize them, let's also honor the everyday women who make our families, communities, economy, military, and nation so strong. The Heritage Foundation is deeply proud to honor them all, not only during Women's History Month, but indeed every day of the year.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Make Connections. This is your girl, Allie. We've been talking with Jerry Mason from Jerry Speak, and I'm excited, and I thank you for being with us today, and I hope you guys enjoyed that women's history. I thought I did international, but it's all the same thing. We're celebrating women and the contributions that they make on a daily basis. And we know that some things we still got to work on. There's still some equality that some things we need to come up on. But hey, whatever you're doing, like it said, if you're in the business, if you're at home, if you're in the church, whatever you're doing, you are important and you are appreciated. Amen, Miss Jerry.
Amen. That's right. We make a difference.
Truly. So, but as we're coming down, our hours coming down, is there anything else you'd like to share with the audience? Any thoughts or just anything that maybe I haven't, led you down that path to?
Um, One of the things that come to mind for me is I have always been that kind of person that would take a risk that wasn't necessarily what's the word? You wouldn't really know what the outcome is going to be. You know, I've been known to do that so many times. I remember when I started my first business, it was a cleaning company. That was probably back in 1992. I don't even know when it was. I was working on a good paying job, but I wasn't happy. I was working for the state, you know. State jobs had benefits, all that good stuff that they tell you
Right.
about. But I knew that I loved cleaning, and I knew that I could do well with it if I could just get it off the ground. And that was back in the day when you could knock on somebody's door and they would actually let you in their house, and you could give them a flyer, you could talk to them and everything. That was way before all the crime and everything. And so I just decided to go around and start putting flyers on people's door and knocking on doors and saying, you know, I'm good at cleaning, and this is what I can do. I didn't even have a business license. And I got so many responses, so many positive responses, that I couldn't continue to work and do the cleaning. So I quit my job, my good paying job, with only $500 in my savings account, and and a few clients. And I stepped out on faith and believed that I could do that. And I ran that cleaning company, oh my gosh, for probably 5 or 6 years. I ended up hiring 5 employees and everything, and
Wow.
learning how to do payroll taxes myself and all of that. And so I've always been the kind of person who would step out on faith and kind of run the show if I needed to. I had no problem doing that. And so that goes back to, being able to pivot during the pandemic. I just kept thinking, there's got to be a way for me to still do what I love to do, and make a difference in a person's life with positive reinforcement. It's like, I wasn't unhappy, so why not share some of that happiness with other people that were feeling down and wondering what the end was going to be. I had no idea what the end was going to be for COVID, just like nobody else has any idea what it's going to be down the road. But when
Say
we look
that.
back a year ago, it's like we've come a very long way. And what if I had just given up and just said, yo, woe is me?
Mm-mm-mm. The two things I keep hearing is that what if,
Oh,
and then the pivot. What if you don't pivot? What if you don't pivot? What's happening? What if you don't use your voice? Who's missing out on the instruction? What if you don't show the world your gift? What could be happening? So I think sometimes when we say what if, we got to ask, what if I don't do this?
right. Because a lot of times we always ask, what if I do?
Mm-hmm.
Don't do it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And what if I don't get everything that's on my vision board?
Right. If it don't turn out the way that you expected it to. I talked about that this morning. It's like I try to put a positive spin on everything, even if it's not the way I expected it to be. I mean, I took some part-time jobs, during the crisis that didn't work out well for me. I worked in a restaurant that didn't work out well. I worked in a cleaning position. It was industrial. It wasn't a house cleaning,
Mm-hmm.
and it got to be too much on my body. That didn't work out well. I just kept moving. I just kept switching to something else. And I end up going back to a skill that was laying dormant, and that's caregiver. I had stopped being a caregiver back in 2016. I went back to that, tapped into that, went online and said, you know what, why don't I go see if I can do that again? Went online, applied for a job, got the phone interview that they first talk to you and see if they even want to think about letting you go further. And the lady hired me right on the phone interview. She was like, oh, I'm gonna definitely make sure that they call you back. So, I kept switching. I just kept switching.
So that switching, that's pivoting. She kept
Yeah.
moving. Come on, y'all. Come on now. Think about it. Think
Yeah,
about
you
it.
got a lot of
You in this
skills. When you
game.
think about it, you probably have a lot of skills and a lot of knowledge
Yeah.
that you can use and get paid for that you're just sitting on. I mean, look at the people who are at restaurants and then they start doing cooking videos. Then they start doing where you could come by and pick it up. And even though they didn't have any pickup service.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's several businesses. Just get their little food truck out in the parking lot. Now they have buildings that people line up to. I mean, so I just want to encourage whoever's listening today, pivot a little bit.
Yeah.
Try something different.
Try something
Go
different.
another direction. What if you try it and it works?
And it works, exactly. I mean,
What if
several
you
years ago, I did Uber. But then when I got a new car, I was like, I don't want them turning my car, so I had to stop doing it.
Amen. But you did what you needed to do in the time.
At the time, exactly. Do what you have to do until you can do what you want to do.
Ooh. Mm-hmm. Say that again.
Do what you have to do until you can do what you want to do.
My Lord. Keep that faith, keep doing it, keep pivoting, keep moving. I promise you, keep making connections. Maybe you make the first connection, it didn't work out. That person ain't for you. Keep making connections, keep building, keep reaching out. Maybe it's not even in your neighborhood. Maybe it's a whole 2 or 3 states over.
Mhm.
Keep reaching out.
Yeah.
Because I believe that I know that God is not a man that he should lie. I mean, now I can say that for myself. If he gives it to you, baby, just hold on to your hat.
He's going to work it out. Yes, because I have connections in Atlanta. I have connections in Columbia. I have connections in Charlotte because I lived in Charlotte for 18 months before I moved here to Charleston. So I keep in contact with those connections because you never know when somebody's going to say, Jerry, come on down. We want to hear what you got to say. What you been up to?
Yeah. And so start right now. Maybe like, she was saying there was a time where nobody was calling, but she was still writing those notes. Maybe right now, nothing is really shaking, but keep it in your mind, keep it in your heart. What if they call? What am I going to do? What if they call? How am I going to get there? What if they call? What's the answer I can give and say, okay, I can't do it today, but give me 7 and I
Oh,
got
yeah.
you.
And then the connection that we made. That's because you've been watching me.
Yeah,
You've been watching my videos.
exactly. And I was like, I got to have her on the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, again, and another thing she said, you never know who's watching.
Mhm.
She didn't know who I was. She didn't know that was me.
Right. I did
But
not know.
eventually, then I was like, hey, Miss Jerry.
Yeah.
So, I just want everybody to leave this encouraged. Know that if you got to pivot, it's okay. Know if you got to change up something, it's okay. Just don't give up. Right, Miss Jerry?
Don't give up, don't give in, and don't give out.
That's it. That's it. Well, Miss Jerry, we're going to take another quick break. And when we come back, I always like to give the guest the opportunity just to leave our audience with one last word of encouragement or a challenge, anything that the Lord lays on your heart.
Okay.
So we're going to be right back. Listen to this quick commercial.
Okay.
Thank you for being such a wonderful listening audience, whether you were listening live or on the replay. And don't forget to like our Facebook page, Making Connections with Allie and Shay, so that you can get notified every time we go live. Do you have a burning message to share with the audience? Contact Alicia Johnson at info@aliciajohnson.com. That's info@ALYSSIAJOHNSON.com with your topic idea and your message to be booked on the show. And if you're an inspirational speaker or a motivator or simply seeking a platform to share your message, contact Miss Alicia Johnson at info@aliciajohnson.com. That's info@ALYSSIAJOHNSON.com to be considered for 30 to 60 minutes of weekly airtime right here on the Making Connections Network. Again, contact Alicia Johnson at info@aliciajohnson.com. That's info@ALYSSIAJOHNSON.com to be considered for 30 to 60 minutes of weekly airtime, your own radio show right here on the Making Connections Network.
Hey, everybody. You heard it. If you have a message, if you want to, maybe you're not ready to take on the radio show and do it every week yet. Maybe you just want to make a once a month appearance. Whatever it is, just reach out to me. You can email me. You can give us a call at 980-389-6826. And let's talk about it, because this is my show, but I also have a platform. I wanted to give other people an opportunity, because I know what it was like when I was trying to find my space, find my place in life. So definitely want to help everybody who wants the help. We are here, and you guys know we're here every Saturday at 12 noon and every Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Definitely go like the page so you can get notified when we're live. Join our Facebook group. We are on Facebook and Instagram. And I just want to say thank you again, Miss Jerry of Jerry Speak. Before we go, make sure you tell people how they can follow you, and tell them a little bit about your sponsorship. I want to make sure you get that out.
Oh, okay. The way you can follow me is Jerry Speak. Everything is Jerry Speak on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. I came off of Twitter for a little while. That's just not my platform. Um, Also, as far as the sponsorship, I do the second Saturday of every month. I go live on Facebook and Instagram at 2:30. The sponsorship is $25, and what that gets you is you get to I create the JPEG, which is a flyer, or you create the flyer and you send it to me through Messenger or email. And for $25, I will place that JPEG, that promotion about your business, whatever you decide to put on there. I will place that in 4 places for 2 weeks leading up to the event. So the people who have done sponsorships for the month of March, their ad started running last Monday, and it will run all the way through March the 13th. And I do it every morning in 4 places. I do it inside the event. I do it on my Jerry Speak business page. I do it on my Jerry Mason regular page, and I also put it in my stories. So you get seen in 4 places for $25 every day for 2 weeks leading up to the event.
Awesome. I think
I
that's
bet
a
it's
very
$25.
good deal.
I can create that JPEG for you, so you're really getting a good deal.
That's a very good deal. So, hey, hook up with Miss Jerry. And so, before we go, your last words or whatever the Lord placed on your heart.
My last words would be always believe in yourself, always trust God to take you from one destination to the other. Keep Him in the forefront, and most of all, don't panic, find the positive.
Don't panic, find the positive. Hey, I'm gonna tell you, go back through this video, listen to it again, because she has dropped some nuggets. And so make sure you have your pen and your paper. Maybe you was driving today right now and you couldn't, write it down. Get your pen and paper out, because some things that she said, I know I was making notes, y'all couldn't tell, but I know it's some stuff that I'm gonna go back to at some point in time. So thank you again, Miss Jerry. We appreciate everything that you're doing. Happy Women's Day. Keep making history, keep being, great, and keep us informed about what you have going on. And we'll definitely share it on this platform as well.
Thank you. I will definitely do that. And I can't believe I was concerned about an hour. Look at
Exactly. It's gone. We're like, where's the time? But thank you again. God bless you. Excuse me, my voice is going out. But you guys, until next time, as always, we're leaving you with love, positivity, and good vibes. Have a good day.